Welcome back. Remember, the wait times of the HCA East Florida Hospital emergency rooms average in the single digits, less than 10 minutes to get waited on in an emergency room. Amazing. All you have to do is go to hcaeastflorida.com. They list all their wait times for all their emergency rooms, and they update those times every 30 minutes. You'll be ready in case of emergency because they do not wait for appointments.
The holidays are upon us,
Right.
and accidents happen.
They do. hcaeastflorida.com. As you know, if you were with us in the first segment, we're so pleased to be joined by Michael Borek from Nana's Green CSA from Homestead. It's a wonderful farm that provides great produce to great restaurants in South Florida and to you and I. We'll tell you more about that.
Community Service Agriculture.
That's what it stands for, Community Service Agriculture. And the executive chef and the owner of David Brocker from the River Oyster Bar, 650 South Miami Avenue, right there across from the Brickell City Center. It's easy to find. Learn more online at therivermiami.com. They're open for lunch and for dinner 7 days a week. The chef made some great dishes to begin.
How great was that salad?
I
That
love the
beet
salad.
salad with the ricotta cheese and the tarragon and arugula.
That was awesome.
And that came
farm.
from Michael's farm, the
My
beets and the
goodness.
arugula
And the
as well.
kale,
And the
And
tarragon.
the tarragon too, right?
the kale chips. I gotta learn how to
We've
do
already
that.
convinced the chef to put the kale chips on the menu.
Oh, they must be
Because
odd.
he uses it as a garnish, but we think that I
They're
would
like
go on
potato
horse.
chips.
Yeah,
They're
great. And he's going to do it on a fish dish. What do you have this for?
This is a mushroom crusted grouper. This is a fall dish.
Right.
We just put this on about 2 weeks ago. We take wild mushrooms, roast them in the oven, and then we let them cool down, and then we make like a breadcrumb out of them. And then we dredge the fish in the wild mushroom mix, roast it in a pan, serve it on mashed potatoes. We do a truffle mushroom tea, which is just like you would make, you steep a tea
Right.
bag. We steep
With the mushrooms.
dried
The
roasted
truffle.
mushrooms and add a little truffle and butter to that. And then we top it with a little roasted cipollini onions, which are the little, Italian onions
right.
that aren't as powerful as your typical Spanish onion. And then we garnish with the chips, the
almost gone.
crispy kale chips.
Every time we go to commercial break,
So-
that goes
So
down and down and down.
basically,
Okay.
it's a little mushroom tea right over the top,
Right.
which is very easy to make.
Now, the tea, do you utilize the wild mushrooms or do you use porcini, for example, which a lot of people will utilize?
You can use porcini. They're very expensive, but there are other dried mushrooms like shiitakes and
Right.
creminis that aren't as expensive. So in a tea, I wouldn't use, chanterelles or
Porcini.
porcini because they're like $30 a pound.
Right.
And if you roast them in the oven and then put them in the water and then slowly simmer it, never boil, just like a slow simmer like you would tea for maybe an hour or so, you'll just see the broth just take on a mushroom tint and flavor. It's wonderful.
When you decide to use a truffle element at all, are you worried about overpowering a fish dish?
Sometimes it depends. This is a very rustic dish with potatoes, so truffle goes well. I think sometimes it's overused, but in this situation,
gorgeous.
Look how gorgeous this is.
It is beautiful.
it really lends itself. And I like to use, there's different truffle products, but I like to use, which is actually black summer truffles
Right.
that are shaved,
Right.
really thin, and then just preserved in oil. So
Beautiful.
a lot of the truffle
Right.
oil you buy is really actually not made from truffles. It's actually a laboratory
Is that right?
replication of,
Wow.
of the flavor. But something like this, where you actually see the truffles, and
Right.
you can buy this in specialty fruit stores.
And when you're using a truffle, which is real truffle, you generally, when it's a product like this, it's a black truffle because the white truffle is raw and shaved.
Yes.
Correct.
Right.
And they're too expensive.
Oh my goodness, yes, sir.
And their season is actually right now.
Right. In fact, the Alba Festival
Yes.
is now going on right now.
We're in the heart of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. Boy, I wish we could do that. Well, Brenda, this is grouper
This is so good.
with wild mushroom.
This is a
And,
very
Onions
popular dish at the
and
restaurant.
kale.
I'll bet it is.
And the tea. I mean,
And it's a great dish to
everyone
have.
needs to go to this restaurant and just order this dish.
Let's find you a fork in there.
Great dish to have with red wine, which is not easy with fish. But
With this, which is Martinelli, which
I
is
think
one
it's
of my
great
favorites.
pairing.
There you go.
I bet it is. Two things about this. One, mushrooms go great with Pinot Noir.
yes.
And two, fish goes great with Pinot Noir. So you got this combination that's just beautiful. There you are, chef. This is, they make a lot of single vineyard Pinots at Martinelli. which is right there near the Russian River. In fact, just before you go over the hill. to
Such
the
a
water.
neat tasting room.
It's a beautiful spot and great wines, great Pinot
Isn't this
Noirs,
fabulous?
terrific Chardonnays, and wonderful Zinfandels as well. So if you get a chance, head down to the River Oyster Bar and try the Martinelli Pinot because it's great.
David, this is one of my most favorite fish dishes I've ever had.
And you know,
Wow.
you know
I
what
mean,
the other
seriously.
thing? It's a meaty dish, and the grouper is generally a meatier
Yes,
fish.
absolutely.
This is a really good Pinot Noir too.
Wow.
The combination is great with it.
I'm gonna
too.
have to leave now and go to the River Oyster House.
Well, it's a great idea. Now, we want to tell you more about Nana's Green because, again,
It started this week.
right, it's the first week because they do it during the season, and it goes from now till May about.
End of May, 30
Right.
weeks.
Right.
We're taking sign-ups the whole season.
Right. So if you want for your family this produce, which is grown in the Homestead Redland area by Michael's
Any
family.
size that fits your family.
Right. If you want it for 4 people, you can do that. If you want it for more people, you can do that
Right.
too. And what they'll do is deliver it to your Whole Foods market that's close to you. And so when they come in, Monday or Tuesday generally, you go down and say, hey, there's a box for me here from Nana's Green. And they mark your name off the list and they provide you this wonderful produce.
Right.
And you go home and you find, David, that you find ways to utilize this produce. Because there are things you might not know would not normally use, like the white eggplant that we talked about.
Yeah, you have to experiment. I
Right.
mean, you know, you can't be intimidated.
Watermelon radish,
You know,
yeah.
For a long time in our society, everything was prepared for us and market, and people were afraid. But you know, these
You used to not have to find
these are
vegetables
high quality
when you went to dinner.
ingredients that are wonderful and experiment.
Right.
You could rarely go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And you know
Yeah.
what happens with us, if all fails, we just make a gigantic salad, a
Exactly.
gigantic fresh salad.
Right.
Exactly. We can't
The
go wrong.
arugula we tried with that beet in our first segment was absolutely delicious. It doesn't taste like the arugula that you're going to buy in a package. It
No.
just doesn't.
No.
I don't know when that
Because
stuff,
it's fresh.
Right.
Cut
And
the
it's
day
not
before.
mass produced.
Right. I don't know when that stuff was in the ground either. How long might it be?
Arugula is pretty quick. 35 days.
Right.
And we got
35 days versus 2 days with you, or 1 day with whatever it might be. There's a huge difference to it. Cipollini onions, roasted, are wonderful, by the way. That's great in this dish. Are you also, you're balancing these flavors so very well. The
Yes.
truffles, the cipollini, the kale. How do you do this? I mean, I'm thinking of you as a winemaker, you know, because it's a balance of things.
Yeah, wine and food is similar in that way.
Right.
I mean, you need balance in food. You can't have one taste dominate the whole dish. It has to be different tastes and a well balanced at
Right.
the end, you know, on your palate.
Right.
So a little creaminess, a little savory, a little sweet, a little bitterness. It all
bit of
comes
it all.
together.
Tell me about your background. I know you cooked at one of my favorite restaurants in New York City back in the day.
Yes, that's when I was much younger.
Both were. When I was eating there too, Lake
Yeah.
Caravel.
I lived in New York. I went to school in New York, and I worked in New York for several years. And then made my way down to South Florida. I worked with Norman Van Aken, and we
One of
opened
my favorites.
Amano and Stars and Stripes Cafe many years ago, and then just kept on going. I've owned several different restaurants, but I've been doing this for a while.
For 15 years now. In fact, Norman was just a guest on our show. He's opened 3, which is we've not been there yet, but the
Yes.
food he cooked there was wonderful as it always
I've
is.
been.
As you can imagine, yeah,
It's excellent.
it's terrific.
It's a pretty room too.
Right, Michael. The season starts, and so for families, they have to go to Nana's Green CSA.com.
CSA. They could sign up there.
Right.
It's easy to sign up. Click on join CSA, and
Right.
there's a sign up sheet.
There's an extra E on the green. So
Yes.
it's Nana's Green, CSA.com.
You can actually also find us under Tina's Pride because it just links
Right.
directly
It'll-
It
to
links
Yes.
back to it. Tina's Pride is mom's name, and again, this is 3rd generation of farmers there in Homestead. Are you technically in Redland or not?
technically a little bit south of the zoo. So it's still farming area. It's the edge of the Redlands.
Right. Sometimes he's asked you to grow something specifically.
Yes.
Can you grow anything?
Not in this area, but I'll try anything.
You know, you go to Italy or France or Spain or something, you find something. You talked about the leeks earlier. I think that's just an extraordinary idea, and I'm going to go to the River House just for that.
Oh,
I
my
need to go
goodness.
there.
Yeah.
Because
For the leeks.
to watch those leeks with the
Yeah.
romesco sauce just looks. And they there in Spain they do the wine kind of a thing where they take it in a strange jug and they get, you know, they're drunk as hell
whole
by that point.
festival.
By that point they really are.
It's good in Spain.
Thanks, guys. We really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Look,
Thank you.
go to
for coming.
nannycreamcsa.com, and of course the River Oyster Bar right there, right off of Brickell Avenue. We'll be back with more right after this, and eat this, drink that,
Go.